Duperas y Duperas today on Dupe by the River. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what happened last Saturday in Charlotte, but we're going to discuss what the heck happened at Bank of America Stadium as we look ahead. Believe it or not, it is the final match of the regular season 2022. We're going to look ahead up this upcoming Sunday. And don't you dare go anywhere because you do not want to miss this episode of Dupe by the River. Let's get this started, guys. Dupe by the River
doesn't do anything well. There is not one.
I'm sorry. There was no creativity.
As a Union fan, I take that all day.
Another DP. We need to go get Mario Balotelli. And that is right. Welcome, everyone, to Dupe by the River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union. And, of course, we are brought to you by Philly Sports Network. Before we dive into today's episode of Dupe by the River, we want to welcome everyone in coming from YouTube, or if you're coming on Twitter, or you're listening to this wherever you stream podcasts, welcome on in, and thank you so much for spending some time with us. A reminder, guys, if you're watching this live on El Barcelona Phillies YouTube channel, hit that like button and subscribe for more viewings of Dupe by the River right here on this channel. And, of course, you can find us wherever you stream podcasts from Apple, Google, and Spotify. You can find us under Dupe by the River Podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you today, my experts in duping, and please welcome back my guy, Mr. Zach Labasso. Zach, what's happening, baby? What's going on, man?
You know, coaching a lot, watching a lot of footy now that the international break's over because that was depressing. Playing when I can, when my back isn't destroyed because of the fields that we have to play on.
Zach's got the Carson Wentz going on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, too early too. Too early for the back issues, but it is what it is. And then unfortunately having to watch the Union play on Saturday, which was also very, very gross.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Zach.
Not a fan of what I witnessed, but as I've been trying to say to people, like, you'd rather them play like absolute poop before the playoffs than in the playoffs.
These are good points, man.
So
these are good points.
You take it with what it was. It was a bad day on a bad field, and that's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
Things definitely do happen, Zach. We'll dive deeper into that matchup, but definitely not a great showing by our blue and gold. But please, ladies and gentlemen, also welcome. This man always comes with the nicknames. Justin, Bald Parking Lot Attendant Freiburg. So, Justin, does this mean you're getting a job as a lot attendant when we open up our brand new state-of-the-art sports complex?
No, yeah. but wouldn't that be wild?
Did you like this? Then leave.
Yeah, it's been a wild few days between whatever happened on the field in Charlotte. Unfortunately, I was there.
That's right.
I don't know which elevation is worse, that or DC's. That 500 section, I got my steps in. That was ridiculous. Never again. They didn't need to open that top bowl. Like they filled not even a quarter of it, but the cameras caught it, made it look like it was full.
That is true.
Yeah, they overshot that one big time. And following up with Zach, hurts his back in bad fields, and I get my bell rung in Monday night game, and Casa refs don't give a shit about my safety, but hey, it is what it is. Thank God I don't have a concussion. I'm legitimately concerned there, but I'm here. I'm still kicking.
There we go. That's all we can ask for, gentlemen. I wanted to say something. I find it wild that tonight we're going to be talking about our final regular season match of the. Feels like it was yesterday.
Flew by.
Always, literally, none of these other leagues feel like this league does. I always feel like the summer goes by and there's the MLS season. Now we're gearing up for a playoff run. It is absolutely wild. But hey, that's where we're at. But you know what? If anyone should be proud in this panel, it's Zach. It's you, my friend. You called a lot of things over the offseason, except for Toronto, which we'll get to that later.
I also got all the well, okay. To be fair, we all got the Texas teams wrong. All of us got the Texas teams wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that. Yeah. Atlanta, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people had Atlanta in the playoffs.
I don't think I had New England sinking as far as
they're not there.
I had New England pretty
Yes.
far down there, but not as far as they were. I think I think my West predictions were bad.
If anyone predicted Seattle not to make the playoffs, please come here so I can slap you for lying, because there's no way.
And also, like, what are next week's lottery numbers? Because that is some kind of prediction.
Yeah, my East predictions were good. My West predictions were not good. Not good.
It's all right, man. That's what they're.
But it is what it is. I know the East better than the West because I watched that a lot more. So
it's got time for that. It's got time for that.
Who cares about the West? No.
Well, gentlemen, let's start off with a little controversy here today. As per usual, the Philadelphia Union announced their brand new plan. Listen, what people don't realize is this has been in the talks for literally since day one of the Union becoming a thing in the MLS. This is something the Union have been striving to do. Obviously, recessions are a thing, and obviously, money wasn't really coming in the way it is now within the MLS. But the Union announced the WSFS Bank Sports Complex. This will include 170,000 square feet of sports and recreation. It's a whole entire ridiculous complex. 8 indoor and outdoor grass and turf fields, 2 multi-sport courts, performance center and weight room, and $90 million into the community over the next decade. Gentlemen, that's the most important part. Now, look, the pros of this, obviously, you look like a world-class club. The biggest clubs in the world have something like this, and this would put the Union in a different realm within the MLS. A lot of these clubs have downtown stadiums, have nice state-of-the-art complex like this, but not all together like this, and everything is going to be right next to each other. This just legitimizes us not only within our league, but within the world. The con, obviously, as you guys can tell if you're watching this live on YouTube, that means a couple of the parking lots in which you have been tailgating since 2010 are probably not going to be there when this is built. So the game day experience is going to change. And for some who've had this tradition for 10 years, I understand it, but it's going to change a little bit. And so, gentlemen, this is where we lead to us. Justin, I'll let you start off here, man. Your thoughts on this brand new sports complex that the Union are planning on building here?
Honestly, I think it's really smart. I mean, first off, I think the academy, YC Academy set up in Wayne. Everybody take a drink.
Pour one out.
I don't think it was a permanent measure. I think they were always thinking about what they could do for the waterfront. And at the end of the day, you've now brought your academy closer with your first team, which is going to do nothing but help these kids, get, some close time with the U2 players, with the first team players. They said they're opening up a lot of time for public usage. Hey, maybe Casa, maybe we get in on that. I mean, I would drive down to Chester to play at that area. I think it's going to do nothing but great things. It's going to bring a lot of much needed attention and potentially much needed revitalization to the waterfront area. I mean, we've been talking about this idea that, unfortunately, we know what happened with the complex plans. They fell through with the recession back in 2008. No one thought it was going to happen. I mean, the Union have been slowly acquiring all of that land around the waterfront and building their way up. They've now have the land. So now that they have the land, I mean, I've seen people say, "Oh, well, it's unlikely that this will get done." Well, I mean, the fact that WSFS has partnered with this is clear. I mean, once you get that kind of sponsorship and you've announced it, I assume once the season's completely over, they're gonna start tearing stuff down and building it. I mean, at this point it's already kind of, I think it's gonna be set in motion, and the fact that, I mean, you have the space for it, and I know we'll talk about what people think the downside of this is, but I really think overall this will do nothing but help bring the team, the area, and the city of Chester. I think it'll bring mostly great things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when we think of YSC coming to an end, I think we have to check up on our boy Adam Booth. How's he feel, man? Wayne's finest. And they're going to take the YSC away from his great Wayne. But hey, it is what it is. Zach, I want to get your thoughts, but you played the game, at a high, I would say pretty high level. I guess like as a perspective, as one of these kids who would take part in the youth academy closer to Chester, kind of the mindset of those kids, seeing that happen and, just your opinions as well, man, on this whole situation.
I mean, yeah, I don't think there's anything but good that can come from it. And I think even beyond the academy, like they're definitely going to host a bunch of tournaments there. They're going to have clinics. They're going to be able to do so much more at a more centralized location than they've been able to because like you have the academy kids practicing in Wayne, and then you have some of those kids probably getting called up to U2, and they might be in school in Wayne, and then they have to go to the training in Chester, and it's just all over the place. But when you can do everything in one spot, it's huge, and they're gonna have indoor stuff, and I mean, going even to like front office stuff, like the money they're going to bring in by renting out the space whenever they're not using it is going to be crazy. Like I'm sure clubs are going to be like, can we host our tournament here? The Union are probably going to now have a yearly like showcase.
Maybe NYCFC asks if they can use.
Yeah, they might use one of the side fields as their home field for a little bit because it's Aaron Judge's house now, and that's it is what it is. Nothing you can do about that. Sign Cristiano Ronaldo in January when he leaves Man U, and maybe it's his house. But until then, it's Aaron Judge's. I just think there's no issue. Like there's nothing that is bad about what the Union are doing there. I think it's all good stuff. All good stuff. The opportunities are endless for what they're going to be able to have at that location now.
Guys, real quick, because listen, I don't want to kind of downplay to entirely the notion of the fans, because like a part of me does get it. Like you've been doing this. A lot of us have been doing this for 10 years, right? You've had your set spot, whether it was Lot B or Justin. I know you love the SOB lot a lot, and I do understand that. But when I look at the bigger picture of this, right, like we're talking about at most maybe 2 times a month that you're traveling down to Chester for a match. And what we're talking about is really doing what world-class clubs do and build a whole entire facility to train, to weight lift, to study, film, and all that good stuff that the world-class clubs do need to do. And I think more importantly, one thing that a lot of people do knock is how do the Union give back to the community? This is a great way to connect the city of Chester with the beautiful sport of soccer. There's still a lot of people within Chester who still hate the Union because of what it brings, what game day does. All the cops are always down there. They neglect the city. And I think this is another great way to bring Chester and the Union together. Like I just, for my sake, I don't see where the issue is. And Mike, we do appreciate your sarcasm.
I think the biggest thing, and it's a fair point that people have brought up is, well, right. Think about it. The city of Chester had the economy not crashed, the revitalization of the waterfront would have actually helped. And unfortunately, plans got stalled for years. And the fact that, one of the first things they mentioned was that it's not just going to be for, like, they have so many fields. It's not just going to be for the academy. The fact that they have specifically mentioned on multiple occasions that this will be open for public usage, I think it's going to be huge. You've already seen, maybe Chester High is going to start playing their games there.
That's huge, man.
Maybe some of the youth teams around here, maybe other leagues, like it. It's going to bring more and more people through the area. I think what it'll do is I think it could have a good benefit not only just from the waterfront, and it could really spread out to. Listen, the city of Chester has gone through a lot of hard times over the years, and I think yeah, listen, there's a certain element to the Union games that isn't great for the city of Chester. And I
Yeah.
think that's the residents have made it vocal. But I also think that if the team in this is willing to move in this direction and willing to try to work with the community to really benefit everybody and start, and start with start with really pushing these grassroots efforts, I think that's what's going to really open things up. And I think they're really I outside of one of the more obvious what people consider negatives, I really find it hard to see a negative for this whole situation.
Yeah, I agree with you too, man. Mike also brings up a great point. The big hope is more foot traffic year round makes other businesses down there that require foot traffic more than 20-ish days a year more viable. Fingers crossed on that. And Mike, listen, the hope is that it's not just a sports complex. You can eventually build retail, build restaurants, bars, make Chester into a flourishing business ground, and this is only the start. I mean, listen, we have the Larimer down there, but we all would love, a little bar hopping, seeing a little, a couple restaurants, grab a bite to eat. And I always bring up the story. My first year going down there as a Barcelona affiliate, had a Toronto fan come up to me and ask, "Where do you go to grab a drink?" And I'm literally telling him, like, "Did you bring a cooler beer?" And I don't have to say that soon enough. And I the hope is that Chester in general can just be a flourishing city like it was back in like the 30s and 40s. A lot of people don't know the history of Chester, but it was a booming city. Brian,
Yeah,
we appreciate
and
you, man.
I think at the end of the day, as Mike said, the idea that this could help to revitalize the businesses. I mean, there's a decent amount of businesses, like a lot of restaurants and stuff around the stadium, and I think maybe with this influx of people and money coming through, you know what, maybe some of the money goes to some of these businesses and they can do renovations. Maybe they can, we can start getting these complexes and start getting restaurants. The idea is to slowly help the city of Chester to the point where people want to come down there for not just the Union games. And I think that's the hope. That's what we can hope for. Obviously, we don't know what the impact of this will be. We don't know how long this will take. We don't know the extent to the public usage. There's a lot of variables. A lot of questions are still unanswered. But from face value, you gotta feel like this is a positive and a step in the right direction.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, let's move on, guys. I want to real quick. I want to talk about the weekend action, but I want to start off with Sunday's action. LAFC in Portland. That was very important for us. Obviously, if Portland did us a solid, we would still be in the running for Supporter Shield, considering our little accident that we had on Saturday. But LAFC got the job done. I got to give them some kudos. A late Dennis Bouanga goal. That really got the job done for LAFC, and with our loss on Saturday, allowed LAFC to hoist the Supporter Shield for the second time in 4 seasons. First off, I want to give congratulations to LAFC. I do give them kudos because, guys, remember, we're literally a month ago, we're literally thinking, like, is LAFC even going to get to the MLS Cup final? It looked like a complete mess, and for them to finish it off, so kudos to them. But I want to get your guys' thoughts. Zach, let's start off with you, man. You're feeling after LAFC put that goal in, man.
So the thing is like when the train of like, oh, the Union could do this started, I was like, they might be able to do it, but LAFC is definitely not gonna let them do it. You know what I mean? Like, the Union could win out the rest of the season, but I never saw LAFC like giving that up. And then they dropped points to Houston the first time, and I was like, It's like, you know what?
Things got spicy.
I was like, you know what? I think it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen. So we're rolling, right? Would they score the Union score like 30 some odd goals in like 9 games or something crazy? Like, it was the most outrageous stat I've ever heard. And rolling. We draw at Atlanta, right? Which I honestly thought was going to happen. Okay. Like, I thought that we would draw there because Atlanta always plays us tough. It's turf. we obviously, after Saturday, suck on turf. Should never play there ever again. And so going into the Charlotte game, I was thinking I never in a million years thought that they would lose, and they did. And then going into LA and Portland, I'd been saying the entire time that I don't see LA getting more than 1 or 2 points from their last 2 games. Portland always plays tough at home, which to their credit they did. They were very good in that second half. And then Nashville is a very, very good team. Nashville's fantastic. They have the MVP on the team. So you have that. And when the game started, I saw it was 0-0 for most of the first half, and then I flipped it on last 10 minutes of the first half, and Vela gets the ball at the top of the box, and I'm thinking they're just gonna step out and not let him shoot with his left foot. And 2 guys, not one, but 2 guys stepped out, and he faked the shot, and they turned their backs like they were 8-year-old soccer players, and then. While they were turned, he bent one into the top corner, and I'm thinking to myself, at least make them earn it.
That's bad defense,
at least make them earn it. That was, and then Asprilla scores, which honestly he could have had about 4 himself in that half. In the second
October
half.
died on, man. October died on.
Yeah, so Asprilla scores, and I'm thinking to myself draw is coming. Nashville's going to beat them at the bank next week. We're going to beat Toronto. Shield's ours, right? Then the questionable penalty kick gets called, which when I saw the first replay, I was like, that's not even a foul. He doesn't, his arm is on his shoulder, doesn't tug, doesn't push, nothing. Guy goes down. Ref sees it the way I saw it, gives the corner kick. And then 8 minutes later, Bouanga's dribbling from midfield down the left-hand side, cuts towards the box where the right back and the center back and the center mid are all there. They're all there. And they kind of create this little triangular pocket for him to just dribble into and have a clean shot on goal. And I'm thinking to myself, again, make them earn it. He didn't do anything special on that goal. He dribbled in a straight line for 55 yards and scored. And, sometimes when you don't it was never in our hands. People who were blah, 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 all this stuff. At the end of the day, we never had our own destiny in our own hands at all. Never. They had to drop points at least one more time because they had more wins than us. Now, did I think they were going to drop points? I did. Did I think we were going to drop points? I did, but not against Charlotte. I did not think against Charlotte. So I wasn't I was more disappointed in Portland and how poor they were defensively than I was that the Union didn't win the Shield, because at the end of the day, we shouldn't have even been in a spot to win the Shield in the first place. There was no reason we ever should have gotten that close because of how poorly LA was for a month.
Yeah.
So I wasn't super upset, except for how LA did it. If LA had gone out there and put 6 on Portland and said we're the shit, this is our Shield, I would have been you know what, fair enough. You guys earned it. But they scored 2 shit goals. I shouldn't say shit goals. They scored 2 easy goals because Portland made it easy for them, which is unfortunate for us, but it is what it is. We've won a Shield. We haven't won a cup yet. So, you got to pick and choose your battles.
This is true. Justin, where were you on Sunday for the match against LAFC in Portland?
I was at a friend of mine's house with my girlfriend and a few friends watching the Eagles game, and then I think we left. I mean, the game was at 3:30. I think by the time I got back to my place, I think I caught the last 10 minutes end stoppage time, and listen, Zach's right. we were never fully in control. Yes, if we had won the Atlanta game, it would have come down to the last day, but the only reason we were in it is because LAFC slipped up for a while. And I still don't think LAFC going into the playoffs is like, I don't like I that week off may help them, but they've also been, for the most part, been in pretty poor form. And overall, I mean, let's not overlook. Yeah, okay, we didn't win a trophy. Is that disappointing? Yeah, it was kind of a bummer initially. That night when I was like, okay, Supporter Shield might be over at this point. But I also think that the thing people seem to forget, the Supporter Shield is basically cursed. In the league's history,
7.
I think.
Are you onto something?
7, I think 8 teams out of the league's 25, 26 year history have won the Shield, have won have won it, and
that's why the Red Bull never won the MLS Cup.
But look at even the past few years. I mean,
well, it's been more than cursed the last few years because you just be going out in the first round every single time.
New England crashes first game. Union crash first game.
Oh God, that was the worst game I've ever seen in my life.
It's just, I mean, you go back to, I think, what was it, 2017? I believe was one of the.
It was. I think it was. It was Toronto. I'm pretty sure did both.
So let me ask you guys something. Do you guys think that like the pressure? Because it's like 4 months you're like gunning for the Supporter Shield, right? Do you think that the pressure of trying to win a sports team in the season, it just drains you by playoff time?
I think it has to be. I think it has to be at least a factor. I mean, think about the last 2 months for LAFC. They've been like, they added all these players, but between the lack of chemistry, the players rotating in and out, like I think to have to be at that high level. I mean, LAFC were firing for the first few months of the season. It was clear they were pretty, but like they started swinging off. And Mike, to answer your question, if most of the teams,
but isn't it 63% is the one that we're looking at? So
yeah,
I would say that is.
I'm looking at the bigger number, and if only 8 of 26 have won, like that's not exactly. Well, the circumstances say that most Supporter Shield teams don't win the cup. But I think
for sure you're on something.
Overall, I think it takes. There's a reason a lot of teams don't do the double. It's because it does take a lot of effort to be at that consistently high of a level for so long. I think there's a valid point to make that teams that win the Supporter Shield, like they falter in the playoffs, and it's one of those things that. And I also think the past few games, it's clear that. I mean, you missed Ali Bedoya when you had that young of a midfield, and you had Leon and Kai getting in each other's way, and like guys were on top of each other. And I think circumstances like if Ali's there for both games, I think that's different. Who knows? Maybe we do get both games. Who's to say? Again, hindsight's 20/20 there. At the end of the day, you really if you finish first in the conference, it sets you up nicely. A trophy, yes, would have been nice, but overall, I just think that it was disappointing at first, but I think at least for me, I quickly moved past it because I'm like, okay, we still got to clinch the East. Like, it's like, all right, move on, done and dusted. It happened. It sucked. Boom, move on. Like, I think wallowing on it just doesn't do you any good, and we all know us Union fans love to spiral and. Go down that rabbit hole, and for once this season, this is one of the few seasons that I haven't been spiraling down the rabbit hole because, I've actually
been very, very good for 95% of it.
Exactly, and it's we're not used to that, so I'm just trying to take each game, and I think that's kind of what made it made the sting less.
Yeah. I mean, look, I get it, right? Like, I understand why the soccer fan would want this trophy, but I guess like a part of me being like an American sports fan, like the cup to me is like the most important trophy. That now, if you have a chance at Champions League, now that's a different story. But
we
I mean,
clinched Champions League.
I
That's
also-
what people seem to forget.
that's
clinched it.
the point
We
too.
clinched it
So
before.
we are in Champions League next year.
Yeah, like
So-
that's and the question that people were posing, if like Seattle, we win Champions League, we somehow won Champions League next year, we missed the playoffs. Yeah, I'd be perfectly fucking happy with that.
Every day.
I
of
would
the
be
week.
fine with that.
Because
Yes.
then you're playing in the
Every
Club World Cup and you'd be
day of
playing
the
against
week.
the likes of Man City, Real Madrid, Palmeiras. Like you'd be playing against some of the top clubs in the world.
Yeah.
So
But you're a
the fact
different
that
dog,
next
Justin.
year, Seattle are going to be playing in the Club World Cup is fucking mind blowing.
Crazy. I also think like so. I see the Shield like if you can like like forget curses. Curses are fake in my book. Like yeah, there's a pattern, but I don't think it's inherently cursed.
Did this Italian just say there's no such thing as curses?
No. Yeah, I did. I'm half Italian. The other half is. But anyway, if you can guarantee yourself a trophy, like we are trying to do with the Champions League in this hypothetical argument, you do it. So if you can win the Shield, and you're like, oh, but the curse, like, no, you win the Shield. Like you guarantee yourself a trophy for that season. However, I think that the reason a lot of teams who win the Shield don't win the Cup is because they have won a trophy already. So going into the playoffs, they ease off a bit because they're already at a point where they're like, we had a successful season, we won this, we won a cup, or we won a trophy already. So going into the playoffs, they don't have that like we need to win a trophy because they've already done it. So I think that that's a big reason as to why, and that comes down to the manager. You can say all you want about how good a team is, but if you win a trophy and you can't get your players up to win the next one, then you're not a good manager.
I'll even throw the captain in that, Zach. I think that leadership in general, I think, is very important for that.
But like when you are Barcelona under Pep Guardiola and you win 6 trophies in a year, 6 out of 6, you win everything. Every possible trophy you could win, you win. That's all up here. Because you know when you win that first one that you're the best team that there is. But if you can win all 6, that's because you're stronger up here than every other team that you're ever going to play. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing too is that like that Pep Barcelona team, like their team, like a lot of the teams had chemistry. They had a cohesiveness.
Mm-hmm.
I look at LAFC. I don't really see any sort of cohesiveness whatsoever. They are slapping together lineups. Chiellini looks like a 37-year-old man playing.
He does.
I'm sorry that every time I see like they're like that must be like, oh, look at this great play from Chiellini, and it'll be literally like him taking one touch to set like the ball.
But honestly, I hope they make the final because out of all the teams in the West, they're the team I want to play.
I know, but you look at prime example, the game against Seattle where they won 2-1, but
it was so bad. It was so bad.
Chiellini got roasted.
No, I know, yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, and they're like, "Oh my god, look at this great defensive game from Chiellini," and I'm like, "Are they watching the same game I'm watching?" Not only the back line. I mean, I think the biggest problem that LAFC, I think the biggest mistake they made was letting Mamadou Fall go on loan.
Yeah.
I understand he's a great talent, but you let him leave mid-season. I think they're going to be missing that come playoff time. In the midfield, it's like, great. Ilie Sanchez has been massive. Latif Blessing still playing out of position. I have not understood how he has played this consistently well over so many years.
He's very good.
As-
He's
They play him as a
very, very
shuttler,
good.
as an 8.
Yeah, but he's realistically he's a winger.
wing,
Like he's an
yeah.
outside player. He's a
Hey,
or
Di
a
Maria
second
for
stri-
Real Madrid all those years.
Exactly. Like he's so out of position, but it works. And then
He's
when it
so
comes
good.
to the front three, I'm sorry, you can't have Vela and Bale on the field at the same time.
They're
They
never going to do
occupy
that.
the same spaces. And then have Boanga having Chicho Arango. Like I think Chicho Arango is
Dude, I love Chicho Ryan. He's so good, dude. He's so good.
I was hoping that the Union were actually gonna go after him when there was rumors of him going out because I'm like, he would fit the Union system perfectly.
I love
Corey Burke
watching-
for Chico Arango. Who says no?
I love watching that man play.
But like I think realistically, like Vela has, again, still can pull out a masterclass.
Mm-hmm.
But-
He's definitely aged a little bit.
I was gonna say, yeah, his injuries have absolutely caught up with him. Bale,
It happens.
we know his injuries have caught up with him. He still can pull in a masterclass, but even in a league like MLS, it's still going to be a big thing. And at the end of the day, having that many great players, but having them so late in the season that they don't have time to develop chemistry. I mean, the prime game that I've looked to this season, and it's been in the last few months, was the game at Austin. They got shellacked early
cooked.
with Bale and Vela on the field, and they didn't get better until Opoku came on. And like I looked at that and went, that's great. You signed all these amazing players, but there's no chemistry, no like people are getting in each other's ways. And it was kind of like with the Union, like the Union got in each other's way so many times on Saturday. It was like, yeah, no wonder why nothing's getting done because you're both in the same position. That's kind of what LAFC have been doing for most of these games. And they've like against Minnesota, they should have lost. Minnesota, again, you talk about Portland's letting Vela. Minnesota gave Vela a lot of space on the goal that he scored. And then Reynoso should have finished that game off right at the end. And listen, he took too much time, and Kellen Acosta cleans that up. But like LAFC's form in the last few months compared to the Union's is the reason why the Union were in it for a bit. And yeah, at this point, like I think teams are now going to be looking at going into of LAFC Stadium, and they're not going to be scared. I think they know if they take the game to LAFC and put them on the back foot, LAFC is not a counterattacking team. The only real ability they have to stretch the field is the Warongo. And that's just playing Route 1 soccer. If they have time to build up, yeah, they can break you down. But if teams that have taken it to LAFC struggles to genuinely get around that. And that's where I think they could get upset in the second round at this point.
Sure. This is true.
It'll be interesting.
Well, gentlemen, let's look real quick at Saturday's game. Just kind of our thoughts. Obviously, listen, a 4-0 loss to Charlotte FC in Bank of America Stadium. Really not much to talk about. Lineup kind of changed up. We already talked about how Ali was out. So you had Jack McGlynn, Leon Flock, Bruno Martinez, and Daniel Gazak in your midfield. Nathan Harrell got to start the right fullback. And of course, Julian Carranza and Michael Ua. And guys, there's really not much to dissect with these goals. 4 goals, all by Daniel Rios, who we did not see in the April
He scored again
matchup in
tonight, by the
Chester.
way.
Did he really?
Yeah. He
So we literally just unlocked the beast.
did. We did. He's gonna be the best player in MLS.
Did he match his goal total for the
Yes.
season? I think.
So he's got 8. He's got 9 now. He's got
I think
9
like,
and 5
I
in
don't
2
think,
games.
I think
Golden
that
Boot.
movie-
Who is this? Who is this? Freaking Erling Haaland of the MLS right now?
Yeah, like looking at it, I was like, well, wait a minute, because the whole time I'm like
That was
like,
so
he
weird.
was in Nashville, I think, for a bit. Like, and looking at it, I'm like, wait a minute, what is like? I'm like, there's no way he had this many goals.
Yeah.
At this point, like, okay, he has now 7 goals.
Okay.
So
man,
he has
still-
2 goals
that's
entering
what I
that
thought I heard.
game.
So he doubled his goals,
He tripled his goals.
tripled his goals. Yeah,
in one game.
yeah. and then
The
he scored.
first 2 goals were so frustrating. Like the first goal, I'm like thinking like Kai literally just slept on that play. Like he literally stared in at I forget who gave the service to Daniel Rios, but he's literally staring at the assist maker. And then on the second one, Daniel Rios is just he's looking like Wilfred Zaha in the box, and he just gets it right past. There's not much Andre Blake can do on that one.
I mean, I think that the thing that, like, I think the two things that were apparent in this game were that, one, as I said before, you were missing Ali Bedoya because listen, the back of that midfield was particularly young, and Daniel Godsag was having to do a lot more to drop back and marshal the midfield, which should not be his role. He should be following up on the attack and crashing the box and spraying the ball and bring through balls. And I also think that
he played a full 90, right, Justin? Daniel?
Yeah. And I think that, but I think that the other thing as well is the loss of Ali Bedoya was also apparent in the fact that players were getting in each other's way. There were multiple occasions throughout the entire game that there were perfect chances to play a through ball, to take a shot, and you'd see two players right at the same spot, and a third player and by the time that third player comes, over the top, the play's dead because the two players who got in each other's way gave enough time for Charlotte to step up. I just think it was very disorganized, very un-Union-like, but I also think it goes to show these last two games that missing Ali Bedoya is like Ali Bedoya's presence on the field is I think very understated, and it's showing why he's been a pillar throughout this entire season.
He does a lot, man, and that's at one point I completely forgot about, and I remember watching it on Saturday. Like, I just did not feel like the connection from the back line to the forward lines. It just wasn't
Long
there.
balls all day. I don't know what especially with Jack McGlynn in there. Like, how are you not gonna find that man's feet? Like, why are we just kicking?
Was there one long ball at all?
Well, so there was the one long ball, and I still don't understand the foul call. The ball was played over the top, and Mikael Uwa, arms down, both guys look up, and Mikael Uwa just shoulders, just low shoulder, arm down, guy goes down. Uwa is absolutely in behind if that play, ref blows the foul. That was one of the few, first of all, I do not think that was a foul, but that was one of the few long balls that I saw in a game where, I mean, their defense was being stretched. In the first half, we had chances. We just, I don't know.
We had a lot of chances in the first half.
Yeah, players getting in each other's way.
It was just bad, and that's it. Like, there's nothing else to dissect from it. Like, it was bad.
One thing we do need to dissect, though, and Mike's bringing up a certain play, but just the performance in general of Kai Wagner.
I mean, he was bad. He was absolutely bad. Listen, that was
shades of last year's Kai, where he could not 1v1 defend at all.
Actually, that felt like 2020 New England game.
I was just about to say, man.
Single-handedly, it's one of the worst games I've seen from
Tajon Buchanan making him look like a dumbass.
Tajon Buchanan, that was didn't Brujo get pulled at halftime in that game?
Against New England?
Yeah.
He was hurt, but I think he was
I thought he got pulled at halftime. But either way, I do remember those two being specifically horrid that game.
But that was the biggest thing, was like Kai was not helping himself. And listen, that was a yellow card any day of the week. It was a handball any day of the week. Listen, I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then I was like, initially I was gonna say, wait a minute, and then I was like, oh no, wait, that's absolutely a handball.
I know, man.
And it was like, you know what? Like, honestly, I think a game out for Kai might do him some good. Like, be like Jim might be like, hey Kai, like, yeah, remember 2020?
That can't happen again.
If you want to leave in the winter, that can't happen again. Because if he has another game like that in the playoffs, oh, there's no way in hell he's leaving.
Leeds is
like
gonna say
it's
no,
gonna
thank
be this
you.
big thing. Like if he blows up in these big moments, what big league is going to want
Premier
him?
League on Saturday?
Yeah, like is he gonna blow up in a game for I don't know, Leverkusen against like Dortmund. Like if he blows up a game like that, his Bundesliga career would be pretty damn short.
Are we concerned about this like the struggle on turf? I mean, even if you look
No, because we won't have to play on turf.
Yeah,
I get for this year doesn't
be playing
matter.
at home mostly. Like,
but just like I even look back at like didn't our second match? Did we play in the Big O? Didn't they have turf on that field too?
Well, okay, but that's not even real turf. That's like
that is Astro.
That's
like
different.
Really shitty Astro.
Yeah, that's different. Like I don't. There's no team that should play well.
But like I think the thing with this is like, and people again, we're freaking out. It's like literally this is your 5th loss all season. All season. I get it. We had a lot of draws, and that probably is also what may have done us in. But at the same time, at this point, if you hold on to the first spot, you have home playoff games through the Eastern Conference Final. If LAFC slips up, you have home playoff games in the MLS Cup Final. Like, I think, and also if Sapogia did go on the road to LAFC, they got grass. They don't have turf.
Grass. They got nice grass.
Yeah, like
good.
I think it's this idea, like, and people were like freaking out, and I'm just like, why are people freaking out? The Union are a absolutely dominant home team, and that's where most of their games are going to be going forward this season. Like, I'm sorry, like, excuse me if I'm not, jumping off the top of the wharf building because.
I agree. Justin, your fault.
I agree with Mike.
Yeah, I was hungover. I did not have as much to drink Saturday because Friday was.
Come on, Justin. Water, Gatorade, coffee. Get back out there.
Man,
and some fatty food.
Justin, you can't be hungover if you never stop drinking. Okay?
Oh no. I think
just sip a little bit forever.
And don't get me wrong, I did do the, I had an omelet at a diner, and I was trying, but like, nah, yeah, Mike's right. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get like a beer at halftime. And that elevation from, like, first of all, I'm not going back up and down these steps, but also like, it was like, oh man, I was like, oh, my stomach's still like, it's like, nah, man, this is not, I'm not feeling this at all. So, hey, listen, also, we should not have been in the 500 section to begin with. Like, that was ridiculous.
What are you at the vet? Are you watching the Philadelphia Adams playing? What's going on? New training facility will have turf fields. We won't get fooled again.
True. They better practice on turf. Honestly, though, explain this to me, right? I played in college, right? Which you would think has a lot less money than a professional sports league. You'd think. Old Dominion, grass. UVA, grass. NC State, grass. Now, maybe you're thinking, oh, but those are Southern schools. Indiana, grass. Why do MLS teams not have grass? Why?
Because rich owners don't feel like paying for
because
football. They like playing with the turf.
But if colleges can do it in the North, why can't we do it anywhere?
In all seriousness,
because an NFL owner owns an MLS team.
But listen, as someone who's played football on turf, that's not even fun to play football on turf regardless. So why are we playing on turf in general? Zach's got a point.
Like, I just don't understand. Just get grass. It's better. If you have nice grass and every owner has the money for nice grass, do it. People will get Miles Robinson will be playing in the freaking World Cup if Atlanta had grass. Okay? That's how it would be. We wouldn't have all these set. We wouldn't be even talking about Aaron Long if Atlanta didn't have turf.
Dude.
Aaron freaking Long. I hate that guy. No, I don't hate him. I hate Greg for making him our center back.
At least the vet concrete is gone. That's for sure.
Just get rid of freaking get rid of turf, man. I hate it.
One more point before we move on from Charlotte.
Except if you're telling me I can play on turf instead of playing at Girard College, then I'll take turf.
Hey, listen. This Saturday, playing the Sons of Ben team. They moved us from Girard.
Yeah,
to
I won't
Holy
be able to. I
Family.
won't be able to be there, unfortunately.
I'll be in sunny Arizona.
I wish I
Cannot
could
wait.
play. I literally every time we play Sons of Ben, I'm never going to be able to be there, and it doesn't make any sense. But that's just how it is.
All right, one last point. Justin, in the preview, we talked about how I was shocked that Derek Jones was still in the MLS. I thought he played solid. Like there was a couple passes that got by him, but he looks like an MLS player. So to that, congratulations, good job, Derek.
Yeah, he looked good. There were a few times where he took a few on the turn. He was he was making some good fakes. Like he was playing a solid game.
Good for him, man.
He was a box to box. He was a destroyer, breaking passes up, moving the ball on. Yeah, I honestly I hope he does well there. Like it and unfortunately for some off the field stuff, it just didn't work out here. But like I genuinely do hope for the best. Like I always hope the best for former Union players that that push through. And I told my cousin season ticket holder down there. I said I hope that Derek Jones plays well. Like you guys you guys have a good young core, and he could be. And technically, he's a veteran at this point, despite his young age.
Crazy.
Like, he could be a big influence to be like, hey, here's what not to do when you're coming through, but also like showing these guys like, hey, here's how you do it on the field, and here's how you work through it. So I do hope the best for him.
The crazy part about it, 2019 training camp, I literally was like, Derek Jones, left shoulder midfielder. Derek Jones, left shoulder. And then I hear Tansy's like, Brendan Aronson might get the start. I'm like, what? Over Derek Jones? And it's funny how 4 years have flown by. And Brendan Aronson's at Leeds, and Derek Jones is still in the MLS, man. It's crazy how time flies, man. Boston X, listen, we appreciate you coming in here, and we completely understand. I don't know what the Revs are going to do, but, hey, listen, we do appreciate that. But gentlemen, final match of the season, Union versus Toronto FC. I don't know what to expect. Because I
know what to expect.
Dude, the amount of Italian soccer fans that are going to show up to this match looking for Lorenzo Insigne and Bernardeschi, and both of them may not play.
I mean,
Insigne
got hurt, so it's very unlikely they're not going to risk him for one game.
They're not
Richie
playing.
Larea out on yellow card accumulation. At that point, do you play Bernardeschi? Do you play Crescito? Like, I would say no. I don't think it's worth it. It's not worth it for a meaningless game unless they want to play spoiler. But really, would they want to help out Montreal? Because if the Union lose and Montreal win, they get first. So, like, do you really want to help out Montreal? Like, come on, Toronto.
But so that lends a quite like. So what do we do then in this point? Like, do you start all your big guns at this point? Like,
yeah. I think you gotta shake off the Charlotte game.
That's a good point.
I think at this point, like you're looking at it, I think if Ali's healthy, which I haven't heard, but
I definitely want Ali out there.
I know he was a game time decision, and it was smart to hold him out, especially on turf.
Yeah.
So I think if he can go 65, 70 minutes and give you a solid effort, I think you go. I mean, obviously, Kai, so probably Matty Real is probably slotting in there. I think Ali slots in. I think maybe Olivier gets the start because
Nate got the last one.
Nate, also like I've said Nate is our best 1v1 defender.
Right.
He didn't look good in that game.
Was that Vargas? Is that the kid on that side?
Yeah, and Jozwiak. Like he got
Jozwiak.
He got cooked a few times, and that's rare from Nate. I know Nate. Like I said, I still believe Nate is our best 1v1 defender. He just had a bad game. But I think Olivier is probably going to get the start. So you'll have Madrigal on one side. I think that Ali will slide into the midfield. I think it's going to be your normal attack. But I think you got to throw the big guns out there. You got to make a statement. You got to shake off that last game. You got to have any kind of momentum going into the playoffs.
I completely agree. I see. Like, part of me is like, dude, like you put Brandon. I'm sorry, Brandon. I'm already thinking about Brandon. You put in Paxton, Quinn, Jack. Like, I feel like they could take down this Toronto. I don't even know what Toronto's he's going to put out there. But you do bring up a good point because it's about gearing up for the playoffs. And you have that bye week. And we all know how daunting that bye week is. And the last thing you want is these guys to have all these days off and going into a playoff environment, whoever we have to play against in that first one. It should be interesting. What other takeaways we think we want to watch on Sunday here, on decision day?
I think
How your backup left back does, because that's gonna be probably Matt Real.
Yeah, I'm legitimately curious.
And I'm totally cool with that, because I think that he can do the job. And I think he will be the guy next year when Kylie
play himself into a starting job next year, maybe.
Yeah,
I think 100%. Yeah,
I think there's a reason you kept Matt around the whole time. Like, he's been getting more and more time. Like, I feel like Matt, like we've like, oh, Matt Real's been like, the forgotten man. We're like, oh yeah, he's still here. Like when he
know how old he is? He's 24.
Yeah, like when he signed beginning of the season. Like,
I don't even actually. He might be 23.
But like Zach, like think about it, when he signed beginning of the season, it was like, oh yeah, Matt Real's at camp, and then it was like, oh yeah, they're gonna be signing him. And it's like, again, we're like, wait a minute, I swore we heard that he was leaving, but like, listen, he's mentoring the younger kids. Like he's doing a good job.
Yes.
He's being a consummate professional. He's got in when they've needed him, and you know what? I think against Toronto, I think he'll be able to bomb forward. People understand, like he's
more of an attacking defender than he is a defensive defender.
Exactly. And I think he's more of the Trent Alexander-Arnold type of.
I hope no one's like Trent. He's so bad at defending.
But also, I'm talking about the attacking.
Not
the shit ass.
When you're that bad at defending, it does not matter how good you are at attacking.
But Manny Real's the type of guy that, realistically, it would probably be a Shuttler or like an outside midfielder in another system, and I think that's what works for us in this 4-4-2. Is he can bomb
because the outside backs create the depth or the width.
And Leon, and I think you'll see Leon probably dropping a bit more to provide that coverage, which will allow Matty Real to get forward.
I have like Matt as a Shuttler at times when Jim's put him in there.
No, and he's looked good, I think, when he's been in there.
Yeah.
I think overall it works. I think we've slept on Matty Real because, we didn't expect him to be here. But I think if Anton Sorensen is going to be your future left back, Matty Real has got to. When Kai sold this year, I think Matty Real's got to be your stopgap, and I don't think he's a bad stopgap option.
I also need to see Anton next year if that's the case too, because that's what I've been hearing. He's going to be the replacement for the future. But I've yet to even watch him play, so that's definitely something I would want to see next year. One last point on Toronto, because not really much to talk about Toronto since they're probably going to put out a B team. But Bob Bradley, obviously, look,
trash. As our friend the Cooligans will say, basura. They're mid.
So, do you think that he can turn this Toronto project around
next year? Yeah.
Okay.
I
defense needs a lot of help.
No, yeah, like a full season with the Italians.
Mike, I'm so done with you. Why are you doing?
Oh my God, yeah, Mike. I didn't even think about that. Shit, he really does look like Voldemort. But I think the thing is, you saw, yes, Toronto were better with the Italians, but this team still has a ton of holes, and no amount of
some amount of money.
Well, no amount of Italians.
A lot on Lorenzo and Federico.
Wait, the Italians breed defenders. What do you mean no amount of Italians? They're just gonna bring Bonucci in next.
Oh boy.
Well, with the reports of a fourth DP, that might be possible next season, but I don't know. I feel like they've got a lot of holes, especially up top, especially in the defense. Goalkeeping, I still think, is an issue because Bono and Westberg were both bad this year. And so, Richie Laryea was here on loan. I don't know. He might still be here on loan. He might go back. I genuinely don't know. There's a lot of questions. They have some young guys that potentially could get sold. Who knows if Michael Bradley retires? There's talks of it.
Probably he's old.
I feel like there's a lot of question marks, and the league has changed since Bob Bradley's been a good coach here. And I just think when it comes down to it, listen, the LAFC team won.
I was going to say, he just won Supporter Shield a couple of years ago.
but they also bombed in the playoffs.
True.
So like I feel like it's like Bruce Arena where like his teams these days have not really adjusted to the new MLS, and they're still going off of like Bruce Arena still thinks he can sign all these veterans and it'll be like just like the David Beckham Donovan Robbie Keane days, and it's like
bring back Josie, baby. Josie's the answer to all our problems.
Like
Omar
the fact
Gonzalez.
that Bruce Arena thought,
and then Josie went on to actually have a decent season in Mexico.
But the fact that he thought that Josie Altidore and Omar Gonzalez would help save that season, when you knew that Tejan Buchanan already left and Buxa was probably
let's replace Tejan Buchanan with Josie Altidore
and Sebastian Lletget, who
that's
I like
a good idea.
But like, come on, like
that's a good idea.
Lletget's doing well with Dallas, but like that wasn't going to work there. And I think the same could be said with Bob Bradley. Although at this point, I think Michael, if he retires, he might just be an assistant coach.
That's what I keep hearing too out of Toronto.
I think the question is going to be, what can they do to help fill in the gaps around the Italians? I don't know I don't know what their plan is, and I think they'll be better this year. They'll make the playoffs next year probably, but there's still a lot of question marks, and you just got to wonder.
Mike, I agree. I don't know what Higuain's been eating these past couple of weeks, but my man is on fire.
And just because he knows he's retiring, he doesn't give a fuck.
We do need to give some kudos to Higuain, man. Listen,
I don't like that man,
but he's very accomplished as a striker.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people do what he has done in his career.
Except
in the World Cup.
He has kept the footballing world from its greatest achievement, which is giving Messi the World Cup he deserves, and that's.
But I'll never forgive him
for
that. Outside of his Napoli days, he's been average.
Don't remind me of 2015.
Nah, he had one season at Juve where he was.
But outside of his seasons in Napoli, and listen, I will forever remember Gonzalo's time in MLS. First game, 2020, in the rain, at Subaru Park. He skies a penalty, and Brujo mean mugs him. I was right outside with the Sons of Quarantine. Oh my God,
that was fun.
That was hilarious. It was one of the best moments, and it will forever live in my memories.
Yeah,
classic moment, man.
But I agree, Mike. I think that they could do some damage in the playoffs. Like, they are firing right now.
We killed Phil Neville too, and he's done a solid job. He's done a solid job.
Road in like Montreal, though, like I mean, if there were 7 and Montreal's 2, that's where they'd be going.
No, because Montreal's my team.
Wait. So we skipped to the part we could say that we give Zach kudos that he was right on Montreal.
He was right,
but a bit off the mark
on Toronto. I was a bit off the mark. Here, I'll pull up my.
Wait, let me ask something. Because Zach said, let's not act like Zach didn't say it. Zach said that Italians breed good defenders. When was the last good defender they have breeded?
Well, I mean, Crescito's been really, really good for Toronto this year. But like Chiellini and Bonucci have been phenomenal for.
Yeah, but they're old.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess, but like
everyone gets. I mean,
but now they have who's the guy who plays for Inter right now? And
that's probably why I don't know.
Who's the guy?
I don't really watch City anymore.
Bastoni. Bastoni's really, really good.
Okay.
Is there anyone else right now? Not that I can think of, but I know Bastoni's really good. Rugani's always been like there and abouts, but Bonucci's like not even that old. Like Bonucci's not Chiellini old. He's like 30. He's like 33.
Which I mean maybe it's because Chiellini looks like he's chain smoked. Like several packs a week for how many years?
He's a big espresso with the cigarette before training.
He's the most Italian human being I think I've ever seen in my life.
He probably has like a few glasses of red wine with some
before games. Is that why? Yeah,
with some olive oil and a nice loaf of
and
bread.
Some bread just dipped in there. So
listen, simple stuff.
So my Eastern Conference went as this from bottom to top.
This is gonna be crazy.
We had Cincy at the bottom. Not Cincy at the bottom. We had Charlotte at the bottom. But first year. Cincy, second from the bottom. I mean, no one saw that coming.
Not in year one. No.
Miami at 12, which
So shocking.
hands up, they did well.
Kudos.
DC at 11, they suck.
Oh God, yeah.
Red Bull.
Wait, hold on. What were you banking on though with DC though? To finish 11th.
I just that they would be the best of the worst teams.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that was a legit they would be bad, but they weren't gonna be that bad.
I think that's it. Red Bull somehow again playoff team at 10.
A lot of us did predict.
Chicago at 9. They suck. I don't know why.
They
I
made
don't
an
know.
honest effort.
I don't know why.
I think you're just trying to be nice to Casper.
Shabilko would be. I don't know why I thought a team with Casper Shabilko would be good, but they were not. Crew at 8. They're at 7. That was pretty close. TFC at 6. There's my There's my bad one. Revs at 5. They're all the way in 10th. Montreal at 4. They're in 2nd. NYCFC 3. NYCFC 3.
Homeless NYCFC.
I did have Atlanta at 2. And, and that was not good. But I also had the Union at 1. Atlanta at 2 is misleading because they've been very hurt all year. So
Yeah, but they were not great.
It's okay. It's okay.
They were not great even at the beginning of the season.
They have one of the best players in the league, so it's cool. It's fine.
Listen, that's why we do those predictions, man. You never know how
my West was really bad.
Yeah, I don't want to look at my West.
On the West.
My West was so bad.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get some predictions here. I'm assuming that we all have a big dub here, but I guess
I have a big
score line is what we're up in debate. So Zach, what do you got here?
6-0.
6-0.
6-0.
Justin, we have another 6 spot coming up.
6-0. I don't know how. Yeah, 6-0. That's my prediction.
That's a bold one.
6-0.
I think if there's absolutely no Italians, and I think there's a pretty good shot of that, I'm gonna go 3-0.
Oh, you wimp.
I can't. I understand they're missing Insigne, and British may not play, but I
can see them score 8.
They're going to park
the
the
Union
bus.
Score 8 on Saturday.
They're not even going to attack. It's just going to be 10 defenders.
Yeah, and you know what's going to happen? Brujo, it's going to pain me to say this, is finally going to score from 25 out. If they park the bus like that. If not, he won't. He'll miss again. But if we're just peppering shots, Brujo will be the one to score. But they're going to win 6-0.
The biggest bus they can bring from Toronto. They're going to do that here in Chester on Sunday.
A la Jose Mourinho.
Oh, buddy.
Did you know, by the way, park the bus is now in the Oxford English Dictionary?
How do you even know that, Zach?
I saw it on Twitter today.
Does not surprise me.
Brilliant.
Does it say that Jose Mourinho created that, or?
Yeah, no, it does.
It
credits him and Sir Alex, I think, is the two people who.
Sir Alex did that, really?
That seems surprising because the Sir Alex teams were always very attack minded.
Yeah, but not when he had to start Johnny Evans back there with Phil Jones.
I need to give up on my European soccer history, man. That's some good stuff there. Justin, what you got? Phil Jones, he's over here cursing.
Would it not surprise you if Phil Jones came
one of
to
the best
MLS?
Defensive plays I've ever seen, where he heads the ball while he's on the ground.
Oh,
brilliant defending.
Wait, what? I need to watch this.
No.
Phil Jones.
People make fun of it. It is one of the best defensive plays I've ever seen.
He is literally falling and crawling, and he army crawls and heads the ball out of bounds
away from the attacker who would have scored. It is brilliant.
Would it not surprise you if he made it over to MLS?
No, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I think he would be a great center back in MLS, actually.
Zach, I think El Brujo could do that.
I think El Brujo would instead of head the ball, head someone in the shins instead, and then
he would torpedo his head into some's groin.
Yeah, maybe
lower the head and just dive
for the love of the team. Yeah, he probably would.
He'd be a.
Justin wanted to say the planter sack right there, but he's keeping it PG.
I mean, listen, he would not be afraid to go after someone's nads.
You guys want to hear a crazy Inter Miami stat right now?
All right, let's hear it.
Inter Miami is 7-2-1 when scoring first this season.
Wow.
They are 1-1-10 when they don't score first.
That's gonna be key for all the bettors out there. Zach's got you. That's a good one to keep an eye out for.
That's a crazy stat.
That's a
1-1-10. That's horrible.
That's like, but like, yeah, like
you got no
like,
mentality.
No
you
mental
none.
toughness. No mental toughness.
Although honestly, is it hard? Is it easier to come back than it is to hold the lead? I don't know. Maybe it is. It might be. It might be.
In this sport, anything.
Holding the lead is tough, man. It is tough when you up 1-0 and you got like the last 8 minutes of a game when a team is just crossing. You gotta be switched on the entire time. Like that's stressful.
Just ask Red Bull, man. It's not easy. But with that being said, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of Dupe by the River. Guys, thank you so much for listening on in. Of course, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe for more live viewings, Dupe by the River. We will also have this put up where we stream podcasts from Apple, Google, and Spotify. Find it under Dupe by the River podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe as well. A big shout out to you guys for listening on in. It was a great conversation here today talking about the Union. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is Justin Bald, parking lot attendant Friedberg. That is Zach Lobasso. Of course, I go by the name of El Parcero Philly, and we're telling you